Hi there, Grant Tiller from Spectrami, joined here today with Michael from Datera.
Hello?
Want to talk to Michael about some of the things that Datera are doing and really cover what Datera is, and we'll do that over the course of the next couple of videos. First thing I wanted to ask you about, Michael, is hyper-converge versus hyperscale. We're talking a lot to partners at the moment in and around the Nutanix space, and obviously Nutanix have coined the phrase really of hyper-converged.
Absolutely right.
So maybe you can explain to us the difference between the two,
Yeah.
and help us understand that.
I'm more than happy to do that. And I think it's a very good question because we see that question as well raising up very often. And it's sometimes a bit hard to understand where something will fit or one of these two architectures will fit best. And I'm happy to draw a small picture.
Perfect.
To get into that.
Excellent.
Thinking about hyperconverged comparing to an hyperscale, the biggest issue I see or the biggest difference is that thinking about the setup, on one side you have everything combined, which makes your life maybe easier. Thinking about hyperconverged, for example, let's start with a hyperconverged on that side.
Okay.
What you see typically is a setup of multiple nodes having everything inside.
Yeah.
Makes it easy. You will have the compute, and you have the networking part, and you have the storage part within one box.
Okay, so the big selling point of Nutanix is everything is in one box.
Right, which makes it easier in setting up a solution. The drawback here in my eyes is that you always scale in all directions.
Right.
That means you scale, if you want to scale for compute, for example, you scale in networking and you scale in storage as well.
Okay.
Which might be overdone and it didn't give you that flexibility you might need. Thinking about workloads, which needs compute more than storage. Thinking about storage needs for an archival kind of application.
I see. So
you scale in every direction.
So what you're saying in this scenario is if I've got one box containing all of my resource, compute, network, and storage, what happens if my storage requirements are more than my compute requirements?
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
Thinking about pricing, thinking about total cost of the solution, you always have to invest something more than you need maybe. Of course, there are capabilities shrinking the compute part maybe and increasing the storage part, but then it makes it again difficult to specify what you need exactly for your application. Yep. Thinking about the hyperscale part, we decouple the compute, for example, from the storage part.
Okay, yep.
That means here you can individually grow whatever you need. That makes it easier for the compute part, for example. If you have a compute-hungry application, you can scale easily with the solution you need, thinking about the CPU architecture, thinking about the speed, these kind of things, thinking about the memory within the compute. And you can think about the storage part as well, scaling with whatever you need, with the flexibility to have maybe different media types in the storage part and not being aligned to a solution which maybe dictate from the HCL side what you have to use.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this right. This is the storage cluster or storage nodes.
Right.
They're on physically separate boxes.
Absolutely.
And with Datera, what we're going to do is tie them all together. So
correct.
In effect, what we're doing is getting you the benefits of hyper-converged infrastructure without the drawbacks, because we can scale out storage or we can scale out the compute requirement.
Correct.
Absolutely.
That's usually the bigger benefits we see, because there's no, usually, of course, sorry, I have to correct myself, maybe there's a couple of use cases where this makes sense.
Yep.
Usually you see it in a smaller environment. If you think about branch offices, I think it's a very good solution to go that way, to have everything combined. Makes your administrative effort maybe a bit less,
okay,
but limits you on scale, on flexibility. This one is in larger environments. If you can't predict what you need tomorrow, if you have to scale in 100 terabyte chunks, for example, I think that's a way better solution to have control over the budget as well.
That's crystal clear. So we can scale out the storage, but not necessarily the compute.
Absolutely.
Or vice versa.
Right.
Fantastic. If you want to know anything more about hyperscale storage, please look up Spectrami or contact us through Twitter, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Thank you very much.